Introduction and background. On August 12, 1985, Japan Airlines Flight 123 prepared for a routine domestic journey from Tokyo's Haneda Airport to Osaka's Itami Airport. Operated by a Boeing 747 SR-46, the flight was one of the many busy commuter services offered by Japan Airlines, reflecting the economic boom and rapid industrialization of Japan in the 1980s. This flight, however, was destined to become a dark chapter in aviation history, marked by tragedy and significant lessons. The aircraft, registered as J8119, had been in service for over a decade. Originally designed as a long-haul aircraft, the Boeing 747 SR short-range variant was tailored for high-density domestic routes, handling up to 500 passengers. On this particular day, 509 passengers and 15 crew members boarded the wide-bodied aircraft, filling it to capacity. Among the passengers were families traveling for the Obon holiday, a traditional Japanese festival for honoring ancestors. Business people, tourists, and a handful of notable individuals were also on board, including Q Sakamoto, a renowned singer famous for the global hit Sukiyaki. The mood at the gate was typical of a bustling domestic flight. Children laughing, travelers chatting, and the efficient Japan Airlines crew ushering passengers to their seats. The flight crew was experienced, led by Captain Masami Takahama, a seasoned pilot with over 12,400 flight hours. First Officer Yutaka Sasaki, an equally competent aviator, and flight engineer Hiroshi Fukuda completed the cockpit team. Their professionalism and adherence to protocol were hallmarks of Japan Airlines' rigorous training standards. Unbeknownst to the crew and passengers, the aircraft had a troubling history. 7 years earlier, the plane had been involved in a tail strike incident at Osaka. During repairs, Boeing technicians had improperly installed a crucial component in the aft pressure bulkhead. The repair involved a flawed rivet configuration that, while initially unnoticed, created a ticking time bomb within the aircraft structure. As the Boeing 747 SR-46 was readied for departure, the sun hung low in the sky. The evening flight promised a quick journey of approximately 1 hour. Passengers settled into their seats. The flight attendants conducted pre-flight safety demonstrations, and the engines roared to life. At 6:12 p.m., Japan Airlines Flight 123 took off from Haneda, climbing steadily into the fading light of the summer evening. The flight and initial problems. The flight began uneventfully, with the aircraft reaching its cruising altitude of 24,000 feet. The cabin crew served refreshments, and passengers relaxed, gazing out of the windows at the sprawling landscapes below. For many, it was a routine journey. For some, it was their first time flying. Among the crew, there was no indication that anything was amiss. However, just 12 minutes after takeoff, at 6:24 p.m., disaster struck. A loud bang reverberated through the aircraft, startling passengers and crew alike. In the cockpit, the pilots quickly realized that something was severely wrong. The aft pressure bulkhead had failed, resulting in an explosive decompression that ripped through the fuselage's rear section. The failure also destroyed part of the aircraft's vertical stabilizer and severed all 4 hydraulic lines. The cockpit filled with warning alarms, and the pilots struggled to comprehend the situation. The lack of hydraulic pressure rendered the aircraft's controls virtually useless. Captain Takahama and his crew fought to maintain control, relying on differential engine thrust to steer the plane. Despite their extensive training, they faced an almost insurmountable challenge, flying a massive aircraft crippled by a catastrophic mechanical failure. In the cabin, chaos erupted. The rapid decompression caused oxygen masks to deploy, and passengers fumbled to secure them. The loss of the vertical stabilizer created severe turbulence, throwing people and objects about. Flight attendants, despite their own fear, worked tirelessly to calm passengers and assist those struggling with their masks. Amid the terror, the cries of frightened children and the prayers of adults filled the air. The pilots declared an emergency, communicating with Tokyo Area Control Center. Their voices, though calm, betrayed the gravity of the situation. Uncontrollable, Captain Takahama reported. "We are descending." The controllers attempted to guide them toward an emergency landing at Nagoya Airport, but the plane's erratic movements made coordination difficult. Over the next 30 minutes, Flight 123 entered a series of wild oscillations, struggling to maintain altitude and direction. The crippled aircraft veered into mountainous terrain, flying dangerously low. For passengers and crew, every second felt like an eternity. The crash and immediate aftermath. At 6:56 p.m., after a harrowing 32 minutes in the air, Flight 123 struck the side of Mount Takamagara in Ueno Village, Gunma Prefecture. The impact shattered the aircraft into pieces, creating a fiery trail of wreckage that scarred the mountainside. The crash was heard by villagers miles away, who immediately alerted authorities. In the cabin, the moments before impact were ones of unspeakable fear and helplessness. Survivors later recounted how passengers clung to each other, offering comfort in their final moments. Some wrote farewell notes to loved ones, scrawling on scraps of paper or tray tables. The crash site was a scene of devastation. The dense forest absorbed much of the impact, but the fuselage was unrecognizable. Fires burned amidst the wreckage, and the air was thick with smoke and the acrid smell of fuel. Despite the catastrophic impact, a few passengers miraculously survived the initial crash. Rescue efforts, however, were delayed. The mountainous terrain and fading daylight made locating the site difficult. Compounding the tragedy was a miscommunication among Japanese self-defense forces and local authorities, which led to a delay in deploying rescue teams. It wasn't until the following morning that rescuers reached the crash site. Among the wreckage, 4 survivors were found, a woman and 3 young girls. Their survival was attributed to being seated near the rear of the aircraft, where the impact forces were slightly less severe. Rescuers worked tirelessly to stabilize and airlift them to nearby hospitals. For the rest of the passengers and crew, there was no hope. Investigation and legacy. The investigation into Japan Airlines Flight 123 became one of the most exhaustive and scrutinized in aviation history. Led by the Japan Transport Ministry with assistance from Boeing and international experts, the inquiry sought to uncover how such a catastrophic failure could occur. The focus quickly turned to the aircraft's aft pressure bulkhead. Investigators discovered the improper repairs made during the 1978 tail strike incident. Boeing technicians had used a double-row rivet configuration that failed to meet engineering specifications. Over the years, repeated pressurization cycles caused fatigue cracks to develop, ultimately leading to the bulkhead's failure. The investigation also highlighted systemic issues within Japan Airlines and the broader aviation industry. It revealed lapses in maintenance oversight and a culture that prioritized operational efficiency over safety. The findings prompted widespread reforms, including stricter maintenance protocols, enhanced oversight, and improved training for airline personnel. For the victims' families, the aftermath was a period of profound grief and unanswered questions. Memorial services were held across Japan, and the wreckage site became a place of pilgrimage. Survivors and relatives channeled their pain into advocacy, ensuring that the lessons from the tragedy would never be forgotten. The legacy of Flight 123 extends beyond Japan. It reshaped global aviation standards, reinforcing the importance of structural integrity, maintenance accountability, and emergency response coordination. The crash remains a solemn reminder of the human cost of complacency and the resilience of those who work tirelessly to make air travel safer. Today, the names of the 520 lives lost are etched into memorials, and the story of Japan Airlines Flight 123 continues to resonate, a testament to the fragility of life and the enduring pursuit of progress in the face of tragedy.